Week 2 of the Echequan Commission is now underway in Trois-Rivières, Quebec. We'll be hearing from the Joliet Hospital nurses who were present the night that Joyce Echequan died last September. Late last week, we heard from family members, including Joyce's husband. First up to testify this week are the doctors who took charge of Joyce the night of September 27th, followed by the nurses who worked at her bedside. Their identities are going to be protected by a publication ban, and there are laws from preventing us from airing any part of their testimony. But we will be bringing you updates from the hearings throughout the week. We want to hear what you think about the Echequan Commission. Should hearings like this be publicly broadcast? Let us know how you feel about that. You can send your emails to news@aptn.ca. You can leave a comment on aptnnews.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and now TikTok. Follow APTN News and join the conversation and see our latest stories. Well, back in 2019, the federal budget put aside money to develop or re-establish, in some cases, Indigenous laws. The work has begun, and the federal government says that 21 initiatives are underway. Jamie Pashigumskum reports.
The federal funding is to support the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's Call to Action number 50. The 21 programs do this by reintroducing Indigenous laws and knowledge, initiatives the Justice Minister said is important to Canada and to himself personally.
Several projects involve partnerships with law schools and other legal stakeholders, with the goal of researching and developing governance laws based on traditional Indigenous justice and normative systems. Others are focused on creating a written record of ancestral wisdom and knowledge from elders and knowledge keepers, so that the communities can understand and revitalize their traditional laws.
The funding was announced in the 2019 budget that calls for the federal government, in collaboration with Indigenous people, to fund the establishment of Indigenous law institutes for the development, use, and understanding of Indigenous laws and access to justice in accordance with the unique cultures of Aboriginal peoples in Canada. Corinne Lightning Earl is a lawyer with the Wahkohtowin Law and Governance Lodge, the group leading the program.
So much was taken away from Indigenous people. Through revitalizing laws, we can breathe life back into our nations and our societies. We can repair the harms and create stronger nations. Many of us Indigenous people follow Indigenous laws every day, and Canadian law. And through revitalizing and recognition of those Indigenous laws, we can honor our histories and our ancestors.
Tom MacDonald is the president of the Assiniboine Nation. He supports the work of the Wahkohtowin Project because it resulted in important conversations in the community.
There was a lot of fear, like in many communities, that the issue of membership would tear us apart. Instead, going about it this way with our working group and the Wahkohtowin Lodge team, we have worked toward greater unity by affirming our shared values and the ongoing value of our own way of life.
The Wahkohtowin Law and Governance Lodge is based out of the University of Alberta. Their goal is to support Indigenous communities to identify and implement their own laws and governance. Jamie Pashigumskum, APTN National News, Ottawa.
Jamie, residents from one of the most remote First Nations in Manitoba are renewing calls for a new grocery store after people fell through the ice this spring attempting to get to the isolated store. Brittany Hobson reports.
This cell phone video taken last week shows a group of people in Wasagamak First Nation attempting to push a boat across a dangerous ice breakup in the remote community. The group was coming back from the community's northern store. The grocery store is located on a small island away from Wasagamak's mainland. Last week, about 5 people went through the ice crossing the lake, according to resident Marcel Moniaz.
Why are we trying to risk our lives just to get a butter and milk?
Moniaz estimates the walk from the mainland to the store is about 10 minutes. He documented some residents' attempts to cross, and even saw one member go through.
I seen him walking across, and all of a sudden he just fell right through.
Jeez.
And you can't even do nothing. You're way out here, and and he's way over there. It's really ridiculous.
Wasagamak is located in the Island Lake region of the province, about 600 kilometers northeast of Winnipeg. The nation is only accessible by winter roads or by boat from a neighboring community. Come spring and fall, residents take their chances crossing the lake to get to the store.
You have your vehicle, and then you'll have your snowmobile. Then you start to walk, and then that's when it starts to get scary.
The store has been at that location for decades. Many residents, including Monias, have been calling for construction of a new store on the mainland.
Well, I'm hoping maybe the Northern and my community will have a renegotiation where we can come to a terms where it's very flexible.
The Northwest Company owns a Northern store. In a statement, they said they are aware of safety concerns and we've been actively working with Chief and Council regarding plans for a new off-island location for the store. Although our discussions have been delayed due to the pandemic, we are optimistic that we will come to a mutual, agreeable arrangement. Monia says the community has started breaking up the ice to create a safe path for boats to travel. Brittany Hobson, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
It's time for us to take a break, but when we come back, RCMP move in to enforce an injunction to get protesters out of the way of loggers at an old-growth forest on Vancouver Island. Stay with us. This morning on Vancouver Island, RCMP started enforcing an injunction to remove protesters from a logging site that was granted last month by the BC Supreme Court to give logging company Teal Jones access to the Fairy Creek area. The Rainforest Flying Squad, an environmental group, has been there since last summer, blocking access to old-growth trees. The RCMP say they are setting up a checkpoint to restrict access to Fairy Creek. The blockades and the protesters are still there, but police will only allow in media and hereditary and elected chiefs from local First Nations. Katie George Jim, niece of Pachidat elder William Jones, says the RCMP coming raises questions about the right to protest.
Up for what's right, for stopping old growth logging, for stopping the destruction of land, violence against the land is a crime. And so there's just a lot of questions going on how this government can be complicit in this type of action.
And environmental activists elsewhere in BC are calling on the provincial government to stop their cull on wolves. But the government says that the cull is necessary because the caribou population is in steep decline. APTN's Tina House has this report.
Wolves are revered as one of nature's most fierce predators. But now the environmental group Pacific Wild says they are in trouble. Since 2015, BC has killed over 1,250 wolves in a massive cull intended to help save the caribou population. That cull was supposed to only be for 5 years, but Laurie McConnell says it's now going on 7 years. They have launched a lawsuit arguing there is no specific data that wolves are the sole reason why the caribou population is declining.
There is less and less habitat, especially ecosystem-sized habitat. There's more habitat islands, which unfortunately are not going to save caribou. And we're also in a mass extinction and have climate change responsibilities.
McConnell says overhunting and old-growth logging are also major factors in the loss of the caribou. She says it's barbaric what's happening to the wolves in BC. How the cull works is first, alpha males are chased with a helicopter and then shot with a net gun. Once inside the net, the leaders of the pack are fitted with a radio collar. The signal determines where the rest of the pack is, and aerial snipers are sent in by helicopter to shoot as many wolves as they can. Meanwhile, civilian hunters on the ground are raiding dens and shooting mothers and pups. Pacific Wild is suing the federal government because federally it's illegal to carry any firearms in an aircraft. They are suing the provincial government because it's illegal to hunt from an aircraft.
The matter was before the courts, but because of the pandemic, we're registered for the BC Vancouver courtroom, which has a very busy docket, and it's extremely difficult to get a court date, especially when you have a judge, our legal representative, and 2 from the government, to find 2 consecutive days that work for everyone.
McConnell says they were told no wolves would be killed while this was before the courts since January 2021. But they found out recently that the cull has continued and 237 more wolves were killed.
I think British Columbians are wondering, A, how you can change regulations while a court case is pending. I think most people would expect that to actually complete before changes were made allowing a hunt. And B, when is the government of British Columbia going to commit to habitat protection in a meaningful way in British Columbia?
The BC government did not respond to our request for an interview. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Systemic racism in healthcare gets its share of headlines, but on top of being Indigenous, patients who are two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer often face additional discrimination and barriers when accessing respectful, inclusive healthcare. Well, today is the International Day Against Homophobia, and the Canadian Virtual Hospice, in collaboration with 40 Canadian 2S LGBTQ+ organizations, has launched Proud, Prepared, and Protected. This is a new suite of online tools to help improve patient outcomes in that community. Here to explain is Albert McLeod of Two-Spirited Manitoba. So, Albert, who does this new online tool help, and why was it needed?
Well, it's specifically for LGBTQ2 Canadians who are navigating healthcare in Canada, and it focuses around healthcare rights that people may not be aware of if they are sort of engaging with the healthcare system or with any system like a community clinic. And because, addressing LGBTQ issues is sort of, there's gaps, with systems or organizations and institutions, that Canadian Virtual Hospice worked on these 3 resources that are accessible online so that, LGBTQ people would have access to the information that in one place, as well as a couple guides that sort of can help the person, the individual, or the family, identify their needs, whether it's end of life or general care in a healthcare institution as well. So it really is filling a gap in terms of healthcare, not just for LGBTQ2 people, but also allies or for healthcare providers to, increase their knowledge about providing appropriate and good care.
There's a part of this online toolkit, My Choices for Safe and Inclusive Healthcare, that component of this site. This is specific to people's personal health information related to their health and their preferences. Is that right? Can you explain us a little bit how that works?
Well, because there's a lot of new information we have just in terms of people's use of gender pronouns, gender identity, or being in a same-sex marriage. Sometimes service providers don't know the depth of knowledge that really is required to provide appropriate care. So they are sort of tools that an individual can use, or else, a care provider can use to have a conversation with, someone in care, to determine what their best wishes are. Because sometimes, your birth family may not be the best one that's going to come and visit you in a hospital situation. So it's really teasing out and identifying those kind of details. How do you want to be, addressed? What clothes do you want to wear? Those kind of things. So it's specifically around that, and it's very, in plain language, easily read. And again, it's to inform LGBTQ people about the opportunities they have to access proper care or, appropriate care, as well as to not experience any discrimination or have their rights violated in these healthcare situations.
And like you said, too, is for healthcare providers, they should also check it out, kind of get up to speed on what's expected of them. Where do we find this online, Albert?
Yeah, it's on the Virtual Hospice website, the 2S LGBTQ media. That's, if you go there, you'll find the resources there. And there's some videos that are also helpful in terms of listening to 2S LGBTQ people talk about their experiences with the healthcare system. And as well, we know Indigenous people experience, discrimination in healthcare facilities. So for Two-Spirit Indigenous people, it's definitely an important resource that we will need in terms of navigating the systems.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Albert, and you enjoy the rest of your Monday.
Thank you.
We need to take another break, but when we come back, we're going to talk to Dene, singer-songwriter and double Juno nominee, Leela Gilday. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. This was the view of the Red River from Jim Stone as he strolled through the St. John's Park in Winnipeg's North End. Keep those photos coming, and don't forget to include a good description of your snap. You can send them to share@aptn.ca for a chance to be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Over to the east coast, we've got 19 and some rain expected for Charlottetown, 23 and cloud for Halifax. 6 and showers for La Grande River, Kuujjuaq, mix of sun and cloud and 2 degrees. Set Hills, 14 with a chance of showers, sunshine, and 23 for Quebec City. Beautiful in southern Ontario, 25 in Ottawa, 26 in London and Windsor. Kapuskasing, warm but showers possible, 27 and 28 there. 28 in sunshine for God's Lake, Puckatawagan, showers expected, 6 degrees. Sunshine and 30 for Winnipeg, 31 for Brandon and Dauphin. 30 and a chance of showers in Saskatoon, North Battleford 25, mostly sunny. Buffalo Narrows 11 and showers. Stony Rapids and Uranium City both have a chance of flurries, 6 degrees. Chance of flurries and 5 degrees for high level, 18 and some showers for Fort McMurray. Sunny in the south, 20 degrees for Lethbridge, 16 for Calgary. 13 with a chance of showers in Kamloops, Bella Coola 12 and cloud. Smithers and Prince Rupert both 12 degrees too. Same with Prince George, showers expected there. 14 in showers for Dawson City and Mayo, 12 with a chance of showers for Whitehorse. Guatee, sunshine and 4 degrees. Norman Wells 12 and sunny. Sax Harbor -3 and sunshine, Tuktoyaktuk +3 and sunny. Baker Lake and Chesterfield both -6 with sunny skies. Nuyat -8 and sunny. Keenate -6 and sunshine, chance of flurries, and -5 for Igloolik. Well, the countdown is on for the Junos next month, and for Dene singer and songwriter Leela Gilday, there's much to celebrate. Her latest album, North Star Calling, is reaching new heights. Our reporter Charlotte Morit-Jacobs has that story.
Calling me home to Dene.
Here's a taste of Leela Gilday's work on North Star Calling. The Dene musician already has hardware from a career spanning nearly 2 decades. But now, her 5th studio album makes her a double Juno Award nominee, up for Indigenous Album and Contemporary Roots Album of the Year.
I was quite surprised to be nominated in that category because typically it's been more, mainstream artists, and by mainstream I mean not Black, Indigenous, or people of color. Mm-hmm. And this year it's 3 artists who are Indigenous and 1 artist who's, a Black person, and then 2 women artists. And it's really, to me, I feel the diversity in that category is really speaks to the kind of shift.
It is a song about how we are, as humans, all a part of a long line of ancestors. And
Gilday says it's an album deeply connected to her Dene roots.
At the time that I decided to make the album, that was when I finally felt like things had sort of crystallized for me, and the music that I was writing was finally saying the things that I needed to say. So I feel North Star Calling is, one of my, it means so much to me. In the same drum beat, like dun, dun, dun.
Gilday's work is filled with soundscapes she's recorded throughout the years.
The things that I had to say that were important were so connected with my worldview, like our Dene worldview of being inseparable from the land, from acknowledging, the creator, and really stepping into that kind of uncomfortable place of talking about mental illness and mental health and the destigmatizing it.
It's my grandfather.
What can fans expect next? An album all in the Dene language and musical family collaborations. Charlotte Moore-Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
Still on the topic of award nominees, the 2021 Canadian Screen Awards kick off 3 nights of celebrations. Starting tonight, the awards for news and documentaries will be announced this evening. APTN News and Current Affairs are up for a total of 6 awards. APTN National News is nominated for Best National Newscast. My co-host Dennis Ward and I are also nominated in the category of Best National News Anchor. APTN Investigates is nominated for Best News or Information Series. APTN Investigates is also nominated for Best Photography, News or Information in the category for Rob Smith's work on Writing Home. Writing Home is also nominated for Best News or Information Segment. Nation to Nation is nominated for Best News or Information Program for the episode Stopping the Ripple. Lots to be watching for there. Best of luck to my APTN News family, of course, tonight. Well, we are all out of time for your news to kick off the week. Thank you for joining us. I'm Melissa Ridgen. Have a great night.